Alright everyone, welcome to Tuesday's video. We've got a couple more transfer names for you today to dive into. Some pretty interesting comments from Callum McGregor about last season and his injury in particular, and just how bleak things were looking at one stage. We've got a new home kit on sale today, a few other stories as well as plenty of nonsense chat from me. I think we're pretty used to new transfer names by now. We have had so many over the last week, with a lot of them centred around the goalkeeping position. So we've got a couple of new names for you today. One goalkeeper, one central defender. Just so you know exactly what is going on right now and what has been said about Celtic and these players. The first name may be a familiar name to you. Martin Dubravka is a goalkeeper who plays for Newcastle United, and we're said to be eyeing a move for him. That's according to Scott Wilson at the Northern Echo. So I believe that's a Northern Shock paper in England. I don't think it actually directly covers Newcastle. I think from what I'd looked at earlier, it's more Yorkshire. But it certainly seems to be a local reporter reporting this, which I think is interesting to note. So we're said to be eyeing a move for Martin Dubravka, a vastly experienced Slovakian international. Now, he's 35 years old. I will return to that. He's been at Newcastle since 2018, so a fair chunk of time. He initially, I think, joined them as their number one goalkeeper, played a fair bit. Not as much in recent seasons. They signed Nick Pope, who's clearly a very good goalkeeper and a wonderful surname as well. He, however, missed a big part of the second half of last season with a shoulder injury, and Dubravka came in at that stage. So he was pretty much a kind of regular for Newcastle in the second half of last season. However, the Pope is back now, and Newcastle also said to be looking at and close to signing James Trafford from Burnley for around £20 million. So it's very clear Dubravka would become the third choice goalkeeper for them next season. Reports today saying that Newcastle are more than happy to allow him to leave. As I say, he's going to be third choice. He's also only got a year to run on his contract, so it's kind of their opportunity this summer, I guess, to recoup some sort of fee for him. And the report from the Northern Echo says we are understood to be preparing a formal approach. So that's what's being said. He's currently gearing up for Euro 2024 with Slovakia. So you should be able to catch a glimpse at him during that tournament. Who knows if this is like the goalkeeper Celtic want to replace Joe Hart, or if it's just another name being floated. There's certainly been a hell of a lot of them over the past month or so. First thing that stands out with Dubravka, to me anyway, is that he's 35 years old. Now, Joe Hart was 34 when we signed him 3 years ago, so you'd be looking at signing an even older goalkeeper. And some people may have an issue with that. Personally, I don't actually have an issue with the age. I think goalkeeper is the one position. I mean, keepers go until their early 40s, and that's the kind of position I think where you want experience, maybe more so than any other position on the pitch, because it's such an important position where you really can't afford to have a flop there. We see how badly our seasons go when we don't have a good goalkeeper in net. I think at that stage, 3 years ago when Joe Hart came in, we were crying out for someone like Joe Hart. As I say, we'd had a pretty disastrous season, not just with Barkas, but with Bain, Hazard as well. None of them had none of them were able to nail down a spot and really become our goalkeeper. So we really needed like an experienced, proven goalkeeper at that stage. I guess we still need that to an extent, but I just wonder if, with the kind of rebuilding of this team that we're going to start to see this summer, I think really it becoming Brendan Rodgers' team, because it's not Brendan Rodgers' team yet. you look at the big games at the end of the season and there was no Brendan Rodgers signings that started, either of the last two derbies. So it's not his team yet. And I just wonder with him trying to make it his team, whether you would just want a goalkeeper who's maybe on the up rather than someone who is probably on the way down like Dubravka. Now, that's not to say that he couldn't be a good Celtic goalkeeper. As I say, very experienced, has clearly had a good career. And clearly, I say he's on the way down. He has a number of years left in him. But I just wonder if, like the report last week about Vindal Jensen, the Danish goalkeeper, someone like that, I think he was maybe 25, 26. I wonder if that's more of the kind of profile you'd be looking at for a goalkeeper at the moment. Yeah, that's just my thoughts on it. I mean, I take the point that Dubravka could probably sign and be our goalkeeper for the next 3 seasons. And that's probably about as long as you're probably going to get for a goalkeeper, because if they're young and they come in and do well, they're going to be taken off by another club. Someone like Fraser Forster is a good example of that. But yeah, Dubravka, I think it should also be added that Newcastle fans in general don't seem to be huge fans of his. I think he had some ropey moments. The report mentions Eddie Howe not being convinced that he's going to be good enough even to be Newcastle's number 2 next season. So is that someone we want in for the Champions League? I'll be honest, I think I'm more excited by some of the other rumours we've had. I'm not massively against Dubravka. I'm sure you'll let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You may well have seen more of him than me. The other player I've been linked with is an Austrian centre-back called Flavius Daniliuc. He's another player heading to the Euros, as I say, with Austria. He's a 23-year-old currently employed by Salernitana, who finished dead last in Serie A last season, so they're now a Serie B team. Now, Daniliuc wasn't actually with Salernitana for the second half of last season. He was on loan with Red Bull Salzburg. The Austrians are said to have a purchase option in that deal, but Sky Sports Germany are reporting that we are in for him too. Prior to Salernitana, he had a spell at Nice. He was also at Bayern Munich prior to that, mainly in their second team. He was actually a teammate of Nicholas Kuhn at that stage in Bayern Munich's second team. He was also previously in the books of Real Madrid, but from the age of 10 to 14. So I don't know how much that actually means. I guess it shows that he's someone who's always been highly rated. And I think the fact he's got the link to Red Bull Salzburg is pretty interesting. They don't tend to sign players who don't have some sort of potential. And I think over the years, they've certainly proven that they have had many players playing for them who have gone on to have really good careers at bigger clubs in better leagues than the Austrian Bundesliga. Now, whether Daniliuc is one of those players, we'll have to wait and see. As I say, they've kind of got the main buy option on him, so I don't know what that would exactly mean for us if we're interested in him. So if they take that up, do we stand a chance of getting him? Equally, if they don't take that up, are we kind of looking at that and going, why are they not taking that up? We do have guaranteed Champions League phase football. They don't. They didn't win the Austrian Bundesliga last season, so they have a couple of qualifiers to navigate. So, it's an interesting one, Daniliuc. It's not someone I've really heard of. Again, as I say, he's going to be at the Euros, so it's someone we will be able to have a look at. And it's certainly someone Celtic are aware of. Again, this is a local report. It's come from, it's come from Germany, and I'm trying to now think of the German link because he's Austrian and he's playing in Austria. I guess he was at Bayern Munich previously, so maybe there's like representatives that are German or whatever. Don't know how much money we'd be looking at. I think he's got a couple of years to run in his Salernitana contract. Who knows really, but it's another name to just to keep an eye on, I think. It does seem like the club are looking at some interesting players so far. Now, I'm well aware that links are very different to who is actually standing at Celtic Park with a scarf above their head as an official confirmed Celtic player. But I would say so far that a lot of the links I've seen I find quite exciting. More exciting than this time last year. It seems like there's a bit of a focus on European players. Will the club go down the route of, Asia and kind of players from the Americas as well, with the likes of Bernabe and Palma in recent years, Australia? Feels maybe like we're kind of more focused on Europe this time round, which I personally think may be a good idea this year. Maybe slightly more proven players as well, different age maybe. A reminder that the transfer window opens on Friday, so it's not even open at this stage. Elsewhere, the 2024-25 home kit is now on sale, and it's likely to be a big hit with supporters. Yeah, very nice, I would say. So nice that I may even buy it at some stage. Yeah. Other news, Celtic Chief Executive Michael Nicholson has been elected onto the SPFL board. He replaces James Bisgrove, that very successful chief executive, brought so many trophies to Ibrox. He left Rangers last week. Now, I didn't actually know this, but apparently on the SPFL board, you basically will have like one Celtic representative 1 year, and then the next year they'll be subbed out for someone at Rangers. So obviously this is our year. We'll get Michael Nicholson on the board. Next year it will be someone from Rangers instead. I didn't realise that. But that's apparently the way things work. Roma are said to be the latest club in for Matt O'Reilly. We had this from Sky Sports reporter Lyle Thomas saying Roma have joined a growing list of clubs interested in Celtic's Matt O'Reilly, 2 in the Premier League, plus a German club who qualified for the Champions League as well. Atletico still around too. And finally, some very interesting comments from Callum McGregor yesterday from the Scotland camp in Germany about last season and the real difficulties he had with that injury picked up, about early March, late February, early March. Speaking to the BBC, McGregor said, "When we got this scan, it was bad news. It was pretty much season over. But with determination and everything there was still to play for, and having an eye on the Euros as well, sometimes the mind can do crazy things for you and will you back to a point where you can get yourself fit. There were a lot of conversations in the club in terms of what we still had to play for. Yes, it was going to be painful and there would be bumps along the way, but ultimately when I say I want the team to have success, then I'm willing to put myself through anything for the team to have success. I'm so glad it worked out the way it did." When I'm reading those comments, part of me's going, I had no idea things were actually that bad, but also part of me's remembering that period when there were lots of rumours going about, and things were pretty bleak with the team at that stage, but there were loads of rumours going about McGregor and Cameron Carter-Vickers both missing the rest of the season. And it seems like, with regards to McGregor, those rumours weren't completely unfounded. It seems like there were certainly was a fair bit of worry inside the club that we wouldn't see our captain again. Obviously, not for the first time, McGregor, as he says in his own words, willed himself back from injury much faster than had been expected at first. He's done that at least 3 times now, I can remember. Once from the kind of facial injury for the derby, once from, I think, a hamstring injury as well, when he'd been expected to be out for ages and he got himself back, and obviously this time as well. So for all the chat about Callum McGregor playing a lot, and he clearly does, he's also had a fair few injuries over the last, 3 or 4 seasons to contend with. And he invariably comes through them and looks very good. I mean, he was fabulous at the end of the season. And we speak about Dyson Maeda, who was ruled out for the season, then returned to be fabulous. And McGregor's the same. I mean, we literally had 2 players, from the sounds of it, pretty much ruled out for the rest of the season, who then battled back to play a big part in our title wins. So they're 2 fabulous players. McGregor is a brilliant captain, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him flourish in the upcoming Euros. He was so good at Euro 2020, and that was off the back of a pretty poor season. That's putting it mildly. for Celtic. He's now gone into it in really, good spirit. So I think he's going to have a great tournament. Hopefully starts with a really good display against Germany on Friday night. As I say, I'm heading out to join him and lots and lots of Scotland fans. My flight is tomorrow. Planning on doing a video on Thursday evening for you from Munich. So you can look forward to that. And if you have any questions for me for either that video or one of the other videos I do, please fire them in the comments. They can be anything on Celtic, Scotland, the channel, Stevie's attitude to life, whatever you want, I'll tackle it. And as I say, this is kind of the final daily video I'm going to do. We'll have 3 videos over the next couple of weeks while I'm away in Germany. Appreciate you all sticking with it. Please continue to subscribe as we go for 8,000 subscribers. And speak to you from Munich, I guess.